All praises to Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. And this is going to be a video on how they're turning CK into an idol, and going into how the Bible explains how idols of old times were created, right? Because you have to remember our forefathers, the Israelites, our forefathers, the Israelites, were in the midst of these nations, man, right? And Solomon, who is the author of the book, The Wisdom of Solomon, right? He was the ruler over the whole earth at one point, man. And he would have been able to see that these other nations are stupid and simple. And he would have actually understood how they come to build the idols that now people nowadays actually still believe in, man, because that time was going back like 3,000 plus years ago when Solomon was ruling, right? If you believe the times that are set out, it's roughly 3,000 plus, about 3,000 years ago, right? That this kingdom was around, and these people still now to this day believe in these idols, yet they've kind of changed them slightly, right? So what people call Christmas now would have been something else back in the day. What people call Easter now would have been something else in the past, right? And it's slightly changed. People have slightly changed these things around, yet it still stems from the same place that it did when Solomon was understanding that how these people do these things. And also our forefathers like Jeremiah, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, how they were the prayer of Manasseh as well, that's in the Apocrypha, how our forefathers understood how these idols come to be, man. Now, I'm going to read from Wisdom of Solomon, the 14th chapter, and then I'm going to point out how a certain person that was unalived recently is being treated in such a way. So here goes. This is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14 and verse 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life. For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. For by the vain glory of men they entered into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end. For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he hath made an image of his child, soon taken away. Now, in this particular case, it's not necessarily a father that had an untimely mourning, yet it is a man of like high ranking in the world within America that knew this guy. Now, he don't really seem that bothered by this guy's perishing. Yet he's acting as though he did, because they want to make him into an idol, right? They're trying, and they're going about trying to make him into an idol, and they're actually plans to turn this CK guy into a statue. They're making a statue of him, right? Within America, they plan on making a statue, and I've heard that they plan on making a statue in the Capitol, right? So that every time people see that statue, they're gonna be like, oh, yeah, this is about this and that and that. And he's gonna now symbolize a particular thing that they want to push out there, a particular thought process that they want to push out there. And don't be fooled that if they do actually turn him and make him a statue of him, right, that they're also going to make statues in other places of the world too, in America especially, right? And then don't be surprised if they ever end up putting statues of this same guy within places in the UK, man, because they seem to copy whatever America does all the time. Verse 15 again, for a father afflicted with the untimely mourning, for the father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he have made an image of his child soon taken away. That could be a boy or a girl, right? Now honored him as a god, which was then a dead man, right? And that's what they're doing with this CK guy. They're trying to honor. I saw a video of a man talking about he died for our sins, and I'm like, no, he didn't. He would not die for your sins. That was not the kind of the guy. If he could have got told to do that, to have to go through that, to further the plans of Esau, he would not have chose to actually really go through that, right? He would not have chose. He was not that kind of guy, man. He weren't no martyr kind of guy, man. That guy doesn't look like he could do 10 push-ups. He weren't no kind of guy like that, man. But they're trying to portray him as though he was, when he was ultimately a YouTuber. That's ultimately what he was, man. Right? He weren't no freedom fighting kind of guy. He never actually really caused for anything to happen and change in the world. He just ran his mouth. That's ultimately really what he did. He didn't actually have any suggestions of what should happen to undo all the problems that he was talking about. Not really. Right? Now honored him as a god, which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices. And they with this CK guy making annual remembrances. That's a ceremony and a sacrifice, because they're surely going to try and bring something when they sell it, when they have the ceremony. Oh, I'm going to bring some flowers. That's you giving over something as a sacrifice, man. That's giving over your spirit onto that ceremony. Right? People are going to start bringing things over and crying. Like, people was already, there was one Eve from like Nigeria or Ghana talking about, oh, I can't believe you can't do this to me. And I'm like, man, he would not have known you. He wouldn't have known you. You're the same Eves that he was talking about ain't got brain processing power. And you steady there crying for this guy. And I'm like, mate, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Some of these women that were crying for this guy haven't cried so hard that they committed adultery on the men that they had children for, yet they're crying for this guy. The same way how a lot of these women were crying for this guy not being around anymore, they haven't cried that much for all the men that they've messed over, that they're in relationships with. They haven't cried about all the ways how they've committed adultery on men. They haven't cried for that, but they'll cry for some guy that they don't know, never met before in their life. They'll cry for that. You had this guy, G Logic. He's steady there crying for this guy as well, saying, I still gotta do this. And I'm like, mate, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing, bruv? He ain't cried tears like that for us as Israelites. Like, man, I know we're the Israelites, but Esau still can make it. He ain't cried for us, has he? He ain't cried on camera like, I hope. Even he ain't even cried that we get the understanding of that fake doctrine. This guy pulling out wooden spoons. When it comes pulling out wooden, this guy, this guy's a clown. He'll pull out wooden spoons and stir the air. Talking about a culture. So when it comes for us, he's pulling out a wooden spoon and stirring the air, mixing air soup, right? Talking about it cooking us. But when it comes to this other guy, he's steady crying on the internet, man. Crying his eyes out, man. Literally making eye water bawling out, you know. But when it comes to us, man, he's pulling out a wooden spoon and mixing the air, some invisible cookery that ain't, if nothing's even there, and he's putting, like, he went and bought a wooden spoon or took one from out of his house or whatever that he already had, brought it to the debate just so that he could pull out a scripture and then pull out a spoon with a chef's hat on and stir the air. Not crying for us that we sin, because he thinks that we're sincerely lost, and he's hoping, man, please, brother, please, don't you know you're going to burn in hell if you don't get this doctrine? He ain't ever did that for his own people. Even though his doctrine's fake anyway and it's not the truth, he ain't cried for us like that. Because he's gave into the same cost. He'd drop some flowers down for this guy, man. If a year from now the kingdom ain't came and they do an annual celebration and remembrance of this day, he'll be there, probably cry again. Bring some flowers down, man, and probably drop a wooden spoon there. Used to cook people like me. CK used to cook people as well. It's too much for me, man. It's too much. What's wrong with these guys, man? These men ain't cry. He ain't cried for one of the apostles of Great Millstone. He ain't cried these men didn't cry when they found out what he didn't cry. I bet he never cried when he found out what the so-called chief high priest was getting up to, or with all of his hanky panky, man. He never cried for him. He was like, man, Lord, I please hope that he finds a way to the kingdom, even though he was going around giving it up like he's a gal them. Like, these men never cried for that. That would have been more of a reason to cry, if you ask me. Right? That would have been more of a reason to. When I first heard that, I was like, raw, bruv. And I was thinking that someone's lying on him. I wasn't thinking he actually did that, but he actually did it. That's more of a reason to cry than crying for CK being unalive. That's more of a worthy reason to cry, man. If there was ever a reason for a so-called black Christian to cry about something, that would have been more of a reason to cry. But he never cried about that. And even though, as much as you can say about V Malone, right? V Malone actually made a video talking about that before he made a video weeping and crying over CK, which just shows how much of a lost spirit G Logic is, man. He's an absolute clown, that guy. He damn near worse than V Malone, because man, he worse. They're both bugged out anyway, though. This ain't no Captain Save him for that guy neither, because in fact, maybe he ain't worse, man. Because this other guy ain't gallivanted all the way over the country to try and scoff. So let me take that back. They're both bug out demons. let me not ever say nothing to try and sing up no praise for this guy, man. They're both demons, man. Verse 16, thus in process of time, an ungodly custom, grown strong, was kept as a law. So who knows, when they bring that time around, they might try and drop a minute silence. And if you don't freeze for the minute silence, oh, now you're gonna be cancelled. Like, they've already made people lose their jobs over not caring about this guy. You're already losing your jobs. Now some people are going bugging out with it, but they're already making people lose their jobs, man. Just verse 16 again, thus in process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law. Now you already know that there's probably people that have got tattoos of this guy now since. And I might look that up. You already know that there's going to be some people that got tattoos of this guy. And it will more than likely be a Jake too, man. Just in process of time, verse 16, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law, right? And that's where all these fake gods and these idols that people believe in now have came from, man. People, once upon a time, somebody that had riches and gold and treasures, lost somebody close, near and dear to them, right? And because they had money and influence, they was able to make a great memorial for their loved one. And then people that wanted to receive honor and praise and wanted some money from that person, they also wept and mourned for that person as well, hoping that they're going to get a benefit out of it, man. And that's why a lot of these Eves and all these Jakes are really crying. They're like, remember, we have to remember, man, G Logic is a Jake, right? He's a descendant of Jacob. Jacob means supplanter. So does he, like, he might not even actually really care that much about this guy, and just thinking, man, if I cry on camera, I might be able to get a few more subscribers, man. I might be able to buy a bigger wooden spoon so I can cook these Israelites, and I might be able to get more traction to my YouTube channel to try. You never know. But then he seems like such a COON that he really was shedding eye water for that guy, man. So it was a two birds with one stone kind of thing for him. I can cry for my loved one, and I can get some extra followers, man. Because why would you have to cry on camera? You can't cry off camera. When we cry as Israelites, if we cry about things that we might be bothered about in this world, you don't see us bawling on camera, do you? We'll do ours off camera. We don't turn the camera on to cry. Verse 17, whom men could not honor in presence because they dwelt far off, they took the counterfeit of his visage from far and made an express image of a king whom they honored, to the end by this their forwardness might flatter him that was absent, as if he were present. And that will be these universities that want to try and put a statue of him there in their university grounds or college grounds now, to try and get some favor from who's in charge in America, not because they really actually give two bleeps about this guy. And that's why you're hearing a lot of these stories of people all of a sudden now realizing that the right was not as bad as they thought, and that the left has gone too far now. It's gone too far. You shouldn't be celebrating people being unalived. I'm moving to the right. I've realized the error of my ways. No, you're moving to the right. The so-called right and left BS. Because now you're hoping that you can get some extra benefits financially from being on that side. And if it came to where the so-called left side became in power again, you'll do the same thing and move back there. Oh, the right's too extreme now. I'm moving back to the left. Y'all just move as it fits you, man. You move just like that. Verse 18, Also, the singular diligence of the artificer did not set forward the ignorant to more superstition. Excuse me, did help set forward the ignorant to more superstition. For he peradventure, willing willing to please one in authority, forced all his skill to make the resemblance of his best fashion. And that's why they're getting ready to make a statue, man. And that person's gonna be tinkering away, tink, 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 really trying to make it look just as much like old CK as they can, right? And so the multitude, allured by the grace of the work, took him for a god, which a little for was but honored. Took a guy that was just a YouTuber to be a god now, as if he's some kind of messiah. And that's what's happened with this guy, man. Right? And the scriptures speak about things like this. It speaks about it, man. Let me read, let me see what else it says here. Verse 21. And this was an occasion to deceive the world, right? Which is what's been happening now with this CK guy. And this was for an occasion to deceive the world, for men serving either calamity or tyranny, did ascribe unto stones and stocks the incommutable name, and they're gonna try and make it like it's some kind of righteous thing, man. And that's what people always do. There's all kind of statues and things all over this earth that you like, when you look at them, you're like, mate, why are people bowing down to this? Why are people praising this thing, man? It can't do nothing. If it's whatever way it's designed, it's gonna stay that way forever. Verse 22. Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of God, but whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace. And that's what they're trying to make out like this guy did. Are they trying to give him ain't they trying to give him a Nobel Peace Prize? Ain't they trying to give him that? But the scriptures speak about this. Ain't they trying to give this CK guy some kind of Nobel Peace Prize or some kind of peace award or something? And then you'll be thinking, hang on, how is he worthy of giving that though, when the world's not even in no peace right now? It's actually pretty dysfunctional. Verse 23. For whilst they slew their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites, they kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled. Exactly. So as they're talking all this peace, peace, peace stuff, and trying to rate this guy like he was something high, has their moral code actually changed? Are they now righteous? If we would have looked into that guy the same way how the people in Ezekiel the 8th chapter was examined, would we find him floating above the heavens being righteous, or would we find that he's wicked himself, running his mouth? Verse 24. They kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled, but either one slew another traitorously, or grieved him by adultery. And that's what we're going to see more than likely among that they're going to be going back and forth against each other, taking each other out, man. Don't be surprised, man. Verse 25. So that they reigned in all men without exception, blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, perjury, right? Disquieting of good men, forgetfulness of good turns, defiling of souls, changing of kind, disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless uncleanness. They ain't become more righteous by these idols that they've made. They ain't became more righteous from these new idols and statues that they're putting up of people that have passed away, in particular this CK guy. They ain't gonna become more righteous based on these things. Verse 27, for the worshipping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. Right? For either they are mad when they be merry, or prophesy lies, or live unjustly, or else lightly forswear themselves. They don't become better from these things, man. They become worse. Right? Verse 29. For as much as their trust is in their idols, which have no life, though they swear falsely, yet they look not to be hurt. Howbeit for both causes shall they be justly punished, both because they thought not well of God, giving heed unto idols, and also unjustly swore in deceit, despising holiness. And that's what they've did with this whole thing, with this new idol that they're getting ready to make, and giving him a so-called peace prize, and doing all these things. when the guy was literally just a YouTuber, right? But they're trying to make out like he was just some ultimate guy, man. Verse 31, for it is not the power of them by whom they swear, but it is the just vengeance of sinners that punisheth always the offense of the ungodly. And that's what they really put that thing up, trying to make that thing for, so that they can try and, man, let me read it again, man. For it is not the power of them by whom they swear, but it is the just vengeance of sinners that punish always the offense of the ungodly. This is all of these things are done for them to try and push their own way, man. That's what it's always about, man. It's not about nothing to do with them trying to be righteous. It's all just a plan for them to try and make out like somebody was something that really weren't, man. And the scriptures go into the whole idols and creation of idols thing. And I just wanted to do a video of that, man, because I was reading this a couple of days ago. And I was thinking, man, they did that with that guy. On that, I'm going to say shalom. Shalom to the elected nation of Israel.